You ever have those days where you just want to get away from it all? And you do. You go hiking across forests and hills and arrive at the legendary Valley of the Diamonds, where men can pull great handfuls of jewels from the earth if they can just avoid the venomous snakes that live there. You ever have those days where you and your lover and your companion are captured by a man-eating giant and he asks you which one of them he should eat first? You ever have days where you're swallowed by a dendon, the largest creature to ever dwell in the sea? You don't, do you? Would you like to? Tales of the Arabian Nights is a storytelling game of unparalleled luxury and ambition, and it belongs in absolutely everyone's gaming collection. So if you've spent enough money for the month, probably turn this video off right now. Players control the heroes of Arabian folklore, the freed slaves and canny merchants, the swashbuckling sailors, competing to have the best time travelling in an exotic world that's a mix of the real and the unreal. You can journey to India, Stonehenge, Baghdad, or the non-existent city of Pan, the fabulous lake of colours, the bizarre magnetic mountain. And your story begins with a horizon. All the players in secret decide how many story and destiny points they want. And broadly, story is you happening to the world, and destiny is the world happening at you. Slaying an evil sorceress, that's story points. The same sorceress changing your sex and putting you in a well, that's more like destiny. But to think of Arabian Nights as a game is like thinking of the Titanic or Concorde as just a boat or a plane. No, this is an achievement. And it is an experience, and I would love to tell you that Arabian Nights has less chance of you being marooned at sea or catching on fire, but I'd be lying. So instead, let's look at how your journey begins. To give you some initial direction, you'll have a quest. You're free to pick out whatever few skills you want, and you'll have a wealth rating of poor. But it could be worse, you could be a beggar, and might well end up one. So if you've ever wanted a board game that simulates the nauseating spectre of poverty, then you're in luck. Anyway, on your turn you'll move a number of spaces limited by your wealth, and then you'll draw an encounter card to show what you've found. And then this is where it starts getting a little bit mathsy and you start encountering the systems. But the strange thing about Arabian Nights is it proves that magic and maths can be friendly bedfellows. So you add up the numbers and you see what you've encountered, and that'll tell you which matrix you're looking at, and then you'll check your character sheet, and then you'll determine how to respond, whether that's praying or fighting or drinking, and then that will give you a number, and the number will be where you turn to in the Book of Tales. You ever remember those choose your own adventure books when you were a kid? This is like the mother of all of those. Like, you can kind of easily imagine it just giving birth to little books that grow up and run away. What am I talking about? And that's it. Occasionally within your tale, Arabian Nights will give you another dilemma. It'll often ask whether you have a certain skill or an item, but basically the game can only be described as hands-on in the sense that you're clinging to the crash bars of a roller coaster, petrified of which way it's going to turn next. Now, we've been here before. We criticised Arkham Horror for being a game where you just go around a board and stuff happens at you and you're not really in control. We criticised Talisman and Relic for the same reason, and Arabian Nights is nothing if not a game where you journey around and stuff happens at you. But there's a difference. This game is a masterpiece of stuff happening at you. When it's your turn in Arabian Nights, it's the players to the left and right of you that control the matrices and the Book of Tales. And that's great. Rather than waiting for their turn, they're involved in yours. And this leads to my favourite thing in Arabian Nights, when the player narrating your story bursts out laughing because they've just skimmed ahead with their eyes to the next paragraph and seen that you get The importance of Arabian Nights letting you choose how to react to anything cannot be understated. Let's say you encounter a lion and you choose to attack it and you get screwed. Well, okay, obviously you chose to attack it, you should have prayed. Let's say though you choose to pray and you got screwed. Well, of course you got screwed, you should have attacked it. Do you see? There's just no room for frustration because everything in the end is kind of your fault. This book is so absurdly large that trying to drain the game of its sense of wonder by playing it is like trying to drain a milkshake with your finger. There's just so much to find. Your love has disappeared while travelling near the dreaded magnetic mountain. You find her pinned to the mountainside. You cannot approach, or you may become trapped yourself. After that insult, you have no choice but to challenge your rival to a duel to the death. The brigands encircle you, scimitars drawn, teeth bared, eyes afire. One steps forward, points his blade at you and says, "Give me one good reason I should spare your life." You suggest great hunts to reduce the ape population. There is so much treasure here, you couldn't possibly carry it on your own! The first time me and my friends played Arabian Nights, we were loosely playing a crafty sailor, a warrior prince, and a mad prophet, travelling across all corners of the board, and by my estimation, after 3 hours, we got through 1.7% of this book. That's bananas! In fact, this book is so big that if you blew it up to the size of the Eiffel Tower and placed it next to a similarly sized reference pair, it would be taller than the Hindenburg. Another problem with Arkham Horror and Talisman and Relic is they can feel like they drag on. Arabian Nights, though, has a beginning, mid and end game hidden in its witchcraftian systems. The beginning game will see you travelling around, getting drunk. In my friend's case, he had to put down a mad dog and failed. That was his marvellous quest. But as you get more skills, more treasure, you'll slowly advance towards the mid-game, the high-stakes stuff, princesses, armies, and ultimately in the end game, you'll be getting to the secret locations on the board, maybe the Cave of Wonder, the jeweled fortress that you can't enter otherwise, the grand finale of your story. And part of that story will be hidden in your own character as you amass those status cards. Massively helping with the feeling that you're telling your own story are status cards, which, aside from being interesting, actually change the rules of the game you're playing, and there are tons of them. Look at this! You could be ensorcelled, pursued, crippled, blessed, diseased, enslaved, determined, respected, imprisoned, married, envious. Your character's just a prick. Why is he envious? Well, maybe it's because another player is a love-struck sultan who's on a pilgrimage, and you're lost and insane. I went back and forth on this one because originally my script said that point number 4 is that the book is really well written, and I went, no, there's something inside that, and I thought about it, and no, point number 4 is there's loads of failures in the game, and that's really entertaining and thrilling for everyone. And then I thought about that, and I just realised the game's really funny, and board games are about having fun, and this game's just funny. Do you want to, when you finally encounter an imprisoned princess, do you want to select Rob and see what happens? It's just funny. Or what me and my friends like to do is, whenever enter is an option, we always select it. If that's a palace, you enter it. If it's an island, yeah. If it's a lion, enter it. See what happens. It's just funny. It's really funny. Here at Shut Up and Sit Down, we talk a lot about what nice things board games are to own, okay? These objects, they're more than just bits of cardstock and plastic. They are ideas, they are wonderful things to collect. They're individual humans' visions. And I don't say this lightly, but Arabian Nights is honestly the most magical game I have ever played. For a very simple reason. I usually imagine the kind of minds that create the board games I'm playing, okay? Whether that's some dribbling mentat who eats and breathes numbers and this is their spawn, whether they're some laughing bacchanalian demigod who's telling you their private joke, or whether they're a creepy Skeksis intent on undoing all the good work in youth culture we're trying to bring to board games. Anyway, Arabian Nights doesn't feel like it could have been made by one person for the first time. It feels bigger, grander than that, and there's a very simple reason. The first edition, back in the 80s, was one person's dream, and that had 1,000 tales. This third edition has another 1,000 tales. It's absurdly vast. About the only way it could be better is if it had all of that sexy stuff that I've heard is in the original 1001 Nights.
Hello?
Hi, Brendan.
Hello?
Hey, you've read Arabian Nights, right? Do you think you could tell me about some of the sexy stuff that happens in it?
Oh yeah, there's tons of sexy stuff that happens.
Cool.
The ladies who are going out with the Sultan keep having sex with everybody else apart from the Sultan.
Oh.
He keeps killing all the ladies, right? But then, and then the women, I don't know why, but they start flailing these dogs, like these 3 dogs, and they start crying while they're flailing these dogs. That's real. Basically, there's a penis gets chopped off in one of these stories, and I don't think that was supposed to be sexy. But it was really scary as well.
Oh, okay. That doesn't sound very nice.
It's really good. I should read the book again, actually.
Anyway, there you have it. Arabian Nights is a must-buy for us. The components are gorgeous. It's different every time you play. It's great for families. It's simple. It's just marvellous. But if you really don't fancy spending £50, there is one last escape, one last bathroom window for you to crawl out of, and that is if you and your friends play games to best each other. If you want to master these systems, if you have something to prove, that directionlessness, the unfairness of Arabian Nights might just frustrate you. And certainly there's stuff to be frustrated about. A couple of really overpowered cards are love. Having kids spikes your story point upwards. There's also crippled. Should you get crippled, your story points are doubled thereafter as legend of your exploits spread far and wide. There's also the fact that while you are free to do anything, praying and aiding people will tend to do better than robbing and abducting and killing. But do you remember I said this game was magic? That's a funny thing with criticism. If you are complaining that your story is unfair, that love is overpowered, that being crippled shouldn't be so inspirational, that following a path of peace shouldn't be quite so effective, you gotta wonder, is it really the game you're talking about? Night night, everybody.